Welcome to Lift Your Leg. This is Monique Keltie from the Naughty Dog in Victoria, BC, author of As a Dog Thinketh.
And Jill Brown from Calgary, Alberta, the bag lady.
And today we have with us Keltie Lang.
Hello, everyone.
Keltie is a fellow dog trainer that I've known for many years. How long have we known each other? At least 17 years.
At least 17, going on 20, I think.
Yeah, I think so. She
You were
has
just a
been,
young pup.
as were you. Now neither of us are.
No, either.
She was the #1 dog in Canada, and she's had 178 high trials in obedience and also 40 perfect scores in the sport of competition obedience. Thank you for joining us, Keltie.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Should add to this, her business is Keltie R. Lang Competition Coaching and Social Obedience Training. She's joined us today to continue on discussing how social media has ruined our profession. Gradually, we're starting to tackle this topic. Thank you for joining us, Keltie.
You're welcome.
Would you like to start off with any comments? You can get us rolling, or is that too mean to throw you under the bus?
Oh, that's a horrible thing to do. You start.
All right, gladly. We've had such great feedback from our last podcast. Thank you, guys. And one of the things we did is we were criticizing greener trainers. And I need to backtrack on that one a little bit. We are still criticizing greener trainers, but only the greener trainers that are charging more than they are worth. There are many green trainers who are quietly doing their thing, learning their trade, going off to courses and charging what they are worth. They are not the issue here. The people I'm trying to target are the ones that are focused on making 6 or 7 figures a year and are heavy promoting themselves and promoting themselves rather than perfecting dog training. Silence from you both.
You were doing so well, Monique.
Thanks. Thank you. So I've gotten to thinking about this and defining it a little bit more in my own head. And I think that the certifications that dog trainers are getting and some of the franchise courses that are pumping out dog trainers, some of them are a week long, but others are 3 weeks of e-collar training, certification courses. Some it's just an online course and suddenly you pay your big fee and you are then a dog trainer. This is also a big part of the issue.
Oh, it would be a major part of the issue. Because there's just no way you could become a dog trainer in 3 weeks. Online, offline, in person.
Yeah, even hands-on, you're not. Yeah, you need years under your belt.
You need years under your belt, and you need to, I think really to become a dog trainer, the best way to do it is find someone to mentor you.
100% agree.
Absolutely.
And work with them and study under them and grow with them and then grow apart with them and find someone new. And that's really the only way to do it.
I agree. You have to have a mentor and you have to work closely under your mentor.
Yeah.
And like you said, once you have learned as much as you can from that person, then you move on and find somebody else that will teach you different things.
Yeah.
And learn all you can from that first person first.
Exactly.
Because mixing and matching will just confuse things rather than help you learn and move forwards.
Yeah.
Of these certifications and that, I do want to add that there is one certification that I know of that is worth its weight in gold. I'm sure there are others, but there's only one that I know of. And this one is NADOI. It's the North American Dog Obedience Instructors. And I am a member of NADOI. I've been a member for many years. And back when I joined, it took me months to fill out my application process. So I had to have a ton of teaching hours of group classes. Then I had to do a video on how I would teach loose leash. Then somebody had to I had to send in 3 videos of loose leash. One me explaining it myself, one me explaining it to a client, and then there was another one in there on it. And I had to write several essays. One was on resource guarding and how I would deal with it. And they threw another couple of things at me of scenarios of how would you work with this. It was a very intimidating application to fill out, and it took me months. And I remember at the time I was doing it with several other people, and I'm amazed I finished it and sent it in. At the end, when I sent it in, I got really good feedback with books that I needed to read to fulfill my knowledge and improve the holes that I had. That was a useful certification, and Nadoy is still quite tough in their certification program. And by tough, it actually holds value. It's a certification worth getting.
And
That
worth
certainly
looking
sounds
for.
like it.
Keltie, you need to join them. You'd like them. I think our organizations, for the most part, also reflect the tone of the day. So IABC right now, they just had a position paper. One got to win. So the position paper that they picked to be their winner was how to become a six-figure income as a dog trainer. Out of all the things they could have picked for their position paper, and I haven't read this, so maybe it truly was a brilliant one, their focus was on how to make the most money. And we've really gone that way as a profession. And don't get me wrong, we need to make money, and we spend enough of it training our own dogs that we need to. But it shouldn't be the focus. And it still needs to stay affordable for people to be able to train their dogs.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be the focus of why we do this. We do it to make money, but also we do it because we like dogs and we like people and we want the relationships between the dogs and the people to work out.
Yep. And if you're promoting this to new people coming into the profession, I understand that this is becoming their focus. That makes sense because that's all they're hearing.
Absolutely. And that's what's messing it up for the people coming in to train their dogs. They're coming into people who are charging a lot, so it sounds like they know a lot. And then people are leaving after spending a lot with a dog that's untrained.
Agree.
Yeah. How many people do you see that have been through lots and lots of trainers before they get to you?
I have one dog with me right now, and I am at least their third trainer right now, and they haven't even had him a year.
Wow.
I think often I am the fourth or fifth trainer at the end of the road. The one dog, Finn, the doodle that I absolutely loved, I think I was his fifth trainer, and she was ready to give up on him. They didn't think he was trainable, but it's just no one was able to help them. So, how about you, Keltie?
I'd say it's probably a smaller percentage than you, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I won't take the people.
I agree. I pick the people, not the dogs.
Yeah, if I think that they're trainer shopping and they're never going to be happy, I'll pass them by.
Yes.
But if they've been deluded by novice trainers or purely positive trainers and they seriously want help, I'll take them on.
I feel like that's a big reason why you see these dogs after they've been to 3 or 4 or 5 other trainers, because people have been brainwashed into believing that's the only way to go, is a purely positive training.
Yeah.
And after they've spent their money with 4 or 5 trainers and they still have the same dog with the same issues, then they open their eyes and realize it's not working and go somewhere that will actually be able to make a difference.
And I think too that when people go to inexperienced or novice trainers, those trainers are looking at they're looking at the surface issue and not the root of the problem.
Yep.
Thank you. That was something I actually wrote down here. Yep.
Yeah, a few weeks back, you were talking about resource guarding and what the difference between true resource guarding and resource guarding just because I'm a naughty dog.
Yes.
And I get away with it. And I get away with a lot of other things, but the people don't really realize it.
Yes.
And
yep.
I think for the most part, I might even say most dogs that you see, it's such a bigger picture and you have to look at the whole. How does the dog live? How does he eat? Is he really, he's a really good dog at home. Yeah, because he slouches in the corner and doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the people, the owners just don't have the ability to read things that the experienced people would see as an issue.
Yeah.
I think so. You hit on something very important there, that you have the more inexperienced trainers who don't have the experience behind them. They're coming in and they're fixing the surface issue, and they are fixing it, but they're not working on any of the foundation or the deep roots that made that issue grow in the first place.
Yeah.
So, yes, they fix the issue. The dog goes home trained. In 2 weeks, dog starts misbehaving again. 3 weeks pass. By probably a month, the dog's almost back to as bad as he was before. And it's almost become an industry standard right now to blame the owners for not having done their homework and maintaining the good work. When in truth, we more experienced trainers know it was a shallow job done. The roots were never dealt with, and it was inevitable. It was just going to revert back. The job just wasn't going to hold. But it's become so easy just to blame the clients now. And
Yeah.
that's why I think it's very important that your trainer has to be offering like follow-up work if it's a board and train. As long as you're doing your work, they still keep working with you. And I think in my board and trains, of the people that have done the work, there's only ever been one dog that has reverted back, and she was a handful right from the start. But I'm still working with the guy. Like, I haven't just abandoned him. And I know
Yeah.
it's not him doing it. We keep soul searching because the dog's a really cool dog and we have to be able to turn it around. There's no way it can be this hard. But that's one dog out of so many that I'm working with. Versus a lot of the other board and trains I'm seeing, it's always the owners who are at fault for just not doing their part of the work. And we all know people do. They do try to the best of their ability. Maybe not all of them, but I think most of them do.
Well, and
I think most of them do.
a lot of them are doing exactly what they're being told to do once they take the dog home. But because, like you said, they haven't addressed the underlying issues, the people are just working on the top layer. And they're doing exactly what they're told, but it's not getting them anywhere. It's not fair to say they're not doing their work, because they are. They just haven't been given the right instruction.
Dog training's like peeling an onion. So you deal with the first layer of the onion, then it's the next layer, then it's the next layer, then it's the next layer. And those of us who've been doing it for a long time know that. But the more inexperienced ones may not necessarily know that yet. Go ahead, Keltie. What was your point?
Yeah, I would take the onion and I would invert it. I think we start in the center
Yes.
and work our way out
Yes.
rather than peeling the layers back. Oh, we've got this issue. Oh, we fixed that. Oh, we've got this issue. We look at the root or the seed and come at it that way.
Yeah, fix the main problem and then
Yeah.
work on the ones that are being caused because of that main problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you don't address the main problem, underneath there's this simmering
Yeah.
on the verge
And
of a boil going to come out somewhere.
and a new behavior will just fill that spot
Yeah.
if you don't fix the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't fix the issue, they just I found in pet classes there's like some people they're so amazed that their dogs after week 2 or can sit still or something, and they back right off and they revert back to just babying and luring and all of this stuff. And those dogs come out stronger and harder and worse off than they did coming in
Yes.
because they beat the system.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those dogs are really bad players. Like, they just, boy, oh boy, if they can beat the system, they're so on top of it.
This is my board and train right now that I have. It really leaves him in a mess, like an anxious, frantic mess. He just wants to know what to do and to be a good boy. But when he's allowed to fight and get his way, it really stresses him out. He's a cool dog. I like him.
It's not all
Go ahead, Jill.
dogs offering behaviors. That's a great training tool when you're teaching tricks and whatnot. But when you get to a point where you're allowing the dog to just offer behaviors or make choices, put them in that gray area, I think that adds a ton of stress to a dog's life when they're having to try to make choices.
Oh, so much, so much. And you can see it in their faces. Like when you take away all of the choices they have, and it's so much easier just to be good than
Yeah,
to always be thinking about how can I get out of this? How can I be bad? How can I get around this? How can I get around that?
yeah,
And that there's so much stress involved in that for a dog that if
yep.
you just take that all away and just take it away. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not bringing anything to the table. You're just going to do what you're told.
Yeah, give them one
They
choice, the
don't
right.
have anything else. Give them one choice, the right choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And their lives are so much less stressful.
yep.
So, some feedback that we got from the last podcast was Instagram has changed our current trainers that want to learn the right way and also the expectations of people about what a trained dog is. Because what they're really seeing is dog walks behind them on a leash, dog sits on place and does a few silly tricks. That's really all that's being presented as to what a trained dog looks like. How do we get that idea back out there again? Because I actually don't think people even know what a trained dog is anymore, like what they should be expecting. I think purely positive training watered it down so much that people are stunned. Like my dogs when I'm walking and I can down them at a distance or call them back to me. And people are genuinely shocked. This is just an expectation. Every dog should be doing this.
So maybe that's one of the big steps that we're missing in trying to get the word out. We need to get out a list of criteria. Like, these are the top things you need to have unfailing to have a well-trained dog. And it's not lay on a place for an hour. It's not walk behind me. Don't pull me on a leash. Lay down when I tell you to. If you want to use a place, fine when someone comes in, but not for hours on end. But I think we need to offer a list of criteria that the novice person that's looking for a trainer can say, will you be able to teach my dog this and this?
What are yours, Keltie? What are the
My,
main things you think a trained dog must have? A pet dog.
a pet dog, they have to be able to hold a sit while on leash. They need to be able to hold it down.
Yep.
They need to walk nicely on leash and not pull. But you can't, I don't think you can have that until you have the first two.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, I don't think, see, I think my philosophy is that if you can't sit still and if you can't lay still, you're not going to be able to move because once motion is in place, everything goes out the window. So my first class is all sit, variations on sit.
Interesting.
Then we walk. I have them hold the collar if they're big enough dogs, or hold the leash tight to their leg if they're little dogs, and walk a circle into them so they're moving away from the person.
Moving
Getting
away.
off of your leg.
Yeah, moving. They've got to get out of your way.
Okay.
So
Okay,
you're
so
shown.
the person's walking to the right, but like in a spiral out.
If your
Counterclockwise.
dog is on the right, you're walking to the right. If your dog is on the left, you're walking to the left.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so they're walking a circle into their dog. So the dog has to be mindful of them. The dog has to be aware of staying out of your way, much like you do with a young horse when you're
Okay.
halter breaking it. And then class two, I might do a down using a lure and pressure to get rid of the lure as quickly as possible. And then class 3, 4, and 5 is on loose leash walking.
I'm intrigued to see your classes now. You do things. Again, I think we have the same philosophy, but we're going about it completely different ways.
I think we have very much the same philosophies, but we go about things differently. And I think we
Yeah.
have different. I micromanage way more than you do.
Yeah. Interesting. Jill, what are your things?
I fail miserably on loose leash walking, so I don't even try it anymore. I guess my first thing is to find a safe space for them to run so they're not on leash. only half joking there. In the perfect world, loose leash walking, come when you're called. And I don't use a stay a whole lot other than in my competition stuff. If I need my dogs to stay put somewhere while I'm doing something, I'll just put them somewhere. So I do expect them like to sit and stay when they're getting in the car or something like that, but I don't spend a whole lot of time on it. Recall is my biggest thing. Come back to me when we're walking, and now I also prefer them to ignore every other person and dog out there, like I do.
I think mine are probably quite similar to Jill's. Mine are loose leash, and I don't care position. They just are not allowed to pull my shoulder. I want down no matter what. So if they're chasing a rabbit and I say down, they better hit the dust. Toenails and handling.
Yep.
And like you, if I'm my loose leash, if I'm walking, you walk with me. If I stop, I expect you to stop. So I am controlling their feet through my loose leash.
Yep.
Recall is a huge one for me because I like to give them lots of freedom. Come means come. I don't care if you're chasing that rabbit or whatever else. You will either hit the dust if I say down or you will come. And for all of my strong dogs, they must also have an out command to let go of something. And that's it. That's all they need, really.
Yep.
From then on, it's just competition stuff where I can have a whole lot of fun. But these are like foundation pieces that will give you a nice person as a dog. Like just
And that's
someone's a considerate housemate, like someone that's enjoyable to live with.
yeah. And what you just said something that's very critical there. It gives you the freedom to have a nice competition dog.
Yes.
And I think that's what's missing in a lot of competition dogs. You don't, or dogs that are dogs that people have for competition, they don't put the social obedience on them.
Yes.
And they need that. Like they need, my opinion is they need to have that basic respect for you. So now we can go and have fun.
Yeah. They definitely need the domestics.
They need the domestics.
People are so worried. And I think, again, this is probably not, I would say this is midway in a competition career. Because in the beginning, you don't see the dog being sad or miserable. You just want them doing what you told them to do. In the middle, you start to worry about losing that attitude if you ask them to do things or tell them to do things because you've dealt with that with your previous dog. So now all of a sudden you don't put much pressure on them. And then once you get further on, you realize that you can have it all. You can have a well-trained dog that listens to you, has nice domestics, and will still have fun doing your competition.
I agree.
Yeah.
Somehow we need to get this picture back out there, I think, for people to realize what their dogs are capable of, what their dogs' lives can look like if you put the time and effort in, and start to educate young trainers again as to what it should be looking like what they should be aiming towards.
So how do we do that? That's the big question. We have this great idea of what needs to be done. We just can't come up with how to do it.
I expect Keltie to have the solution.
Yes.
Let me get back to you on that.
Oh, dear.
It would be nice to either be able to do like a camp situation, and if you can't do that, videos where people are seeing these are the domestics I expect. But even with the control I have in my domestic dog, look at the fun I have with the freedom and look at the joy they have in competition. You can have it all.
You can have it all. I think people have an idea of what dogs need. Dogs need to run. Dogs need to play. So that's why I go to the dog park. They don't need that. First of all, dogs need to be respectful and obedient. Then they earn the right to those other things. Am I off the charts on this or not?
No, I agree.
I agree with you. The respect comes first. I do think that dogs need to run, and that's absolutely dependent on, not dependent. I think they all need to exercise and be able to run. Some dogs more than others. Dogs that are a little bit frantic in their head or have trouble dealing with life, they need to be able to get out and move and burn some of that off. At a dog
Yeah.
park? Hell no.
Yeah.
I think dog parks are the worst invention ever.
They keep me in business.
Yeah, and the vet clinics.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one.
I have a couple of thoughts swirling through my head. One was, it was at a Sylvia Bishop clinic years and years ago. And she was, I think it was Sylvia, maybe it was one of Sylvia's students, Gina Pink. But we had to vacuum with our dogs on a loose leash. And then randomly, as we vacuumed, we weren't allowed to stop vacuuming. We just had to tell them sit and continue on vacuuming. That's basically what it should look like. You should be able to just do stuff with your dog. On a leash, it means don't pull, don't interfere with me. And if I
Yeah.
tell you to sit or down in the moment here, do it. And I'm just going to continue on what I'm doing. I shouldn't have to stop, give you signals,
Yeah.
make sure your feet are stable, like put your ass on the ground and keep it there.
And you
Yeah.
shouldn't
Yeah.
have to put a cookie on everything. Every time you ask them to do something and they do it right, they shouldn't need to be rewarded for it.
Oh,
And
no,
again,
no.
I was taught my domestics by Sylvia Bishop, an amazing trainer from England who's probably mentored most of us trainers in North America, or competition obedience people, I think. Maybe not most, but a whole lot of us. And there are no rewards for domestics there, really? Are there ever? Maybe on some stuff, but a lot of it's just do it. And then the rewards and games come from asking like way more for the
Yeah.
competition obedience stuff, but not for basics. Like you're
Yeah.
just expected to be well mannered and to not molest me and hurt
If
me. And
Yeah, if I have a real tough dog in my classes or in private lessons, like a real tough bugger, the food is gone. It's out of the picture. Because then it's just respect at that point.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I agree.
Again,
The
there's no
sweeter,
longer an
softer
option.
dogs, there's no longer an option. It's just you're gonna respect me.
Yeah, it's not do it
Don't
and I'll give
touch
you.
me. Yeah,
You
don't
can
touch me.
choose to do it and I'll give you a cookie, or if you don't, you won't get a cookie. No, that's
Yeah.
no longer an option. You're going to do it.
Yeah, you're just gonna do what you're told.
My last board and train, it was at the end of really cool dog at the end. I really enjoyed him. But it was at the beginning and it was the end of the day. He had a busy day with me. We'd done a whole lot of stuff, some of it really fun for him. And it's bedtime. So I took him by his collar to put him in bed. And he checked my pocket, sniffed it, no food in there, checked my hand, and he realized I wasn't going to reward him. He almost bit me. And it was because he realized it wasn't a reward. That was it. Like, it's such a, if a reward is always given, it is no longer a reward, it's an expectation. And then if you don't
Yeah.
meet that expectation, somebody's going to get disappointed because you've no longer met your part of the obligation. So we keep saying like reward-based training. It isn't reward-based training, it's expectation-based training. I think that's something we have to wrap our heads around there.
And when they realize you don't have a cookie in there, there's nothing to lose. It's like, why not bite you? I don't want to go in my house. Why not bite you? You don't have a cookie that you're thinking of giving me. There's not a chance that I can get it if I'm good. I might as well just do what I want.
Yeah. One thing that I try to make very clear to people is that there's a huge difference between your dog going into his crate on his own and you putting him in there.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And because so many people, oh, my dog loves his crate. I leave the door open. He comes and goes all day long, and he goes in there whenever he wants, and he's great about his crate. What about if you put him in? Oh, I can't.
Yeah. Oh no, he doesn't like that.
He doesn't like that. Like you have to be able to see that difference.
We're in this world now where what the dogs want is so much more important than what we want. And I'm not saying the dogs should have a miserable life because we want different things. But it's gone to the extreme where, yeah, I know he ran into me, but
He didn't
he
mean
was
to.
chasing a ball. I know he's pulling, but why should I have to put up with him yanking my arm out of socket when I could put a prong collar on him? But that would hurt him. Okay, but he's hurting me by pulling.
Yeah.
So why is that okay, but the reverse isn't? It's frustrating.
I think my husband should treat me like he treats his chihuahua.
Good God.
I'd be such a diva. I'd never work again.
And you wouldn't cook. And
Another
you wouldn't
cookie. Another bonbon.
exactly. Peel those grapes for me, honey.
Grapes.
Or my wine, honey.
Yes. Yes.
Thinking of you, David.
Oh,
Sorry,
David.
Keltie.
I didn't even. That went over my head.
Yeah.
We'll fill you in later, Keltie.
Sorry, move on. Any other thoughts, Keltie? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think dogs are very resilient and they're very forgiving, and the dogs are very accepting of what's given to them.
Yes.
And if you're in a family that is, okay, my dogs live in the city, okay, they don't get much opportunity to run off leash. We go for organized pack walks every day, but they have to walk beside me. They're happy with that. They're not like looking out the window going, oh my God, I wish I could go for a run in the woods. And
Well, it's totally what they get used to.
it's what they get used to.
Yeah. Like even a dog that is taken for a run every day, like when I'm out on the island during the summer, my dogs are free to run every day. When I get
Yeah.
back to the city in September, the first couple of weeks they're bugging me. And then they realize that's not going to happen every day. So they get their walks when I can. But they truly are very malleable. It's what happens over a period of time that they just accept as the normal.
Dog training isn't rocket science. Yet we've started to make it. Something happened with my board and train this week, which had me giggling away. We keep hearing that corrections will ruin dogs or wreck your relationship and make them aggressive, all that stuff, right? So I have one of my dogs. I'm up north and my driveway is asphalt and we've had a lot of rain this week. So some people walked past my gate with their dog and my board and train flew at the gate, which is at a slight decline. So it's a little bit of a hill, not much, but a tiny bit of one. He's fat, he's overweight, he's not most coordinated on his feet. So he fell. And on his back, he went skidding into the gate and smashed it hard because he was being a jackass or shouldn't have galloped at it in the first place. He hasn't done that since. Anyone that wants to say corrections will ruin your relationship, they're crazy. The Golden gave himself an amazingly strong correction. Perfectly timed. He knew what he did. He's much more thoughtful since. So no, corrections will help change behavior.
Yeah.
It's a faster way to change behavior.
It's a much faster way to change behavior. And in a moment like that, it was such a natural consequence. He did it himself. It was perfect. And he's much more thoughtful at the gate right now.
Yep. And still loving you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Dog training isn't nearly as complex as it has been made out to be as of late. And we need to go back to I hate to say to what it used to be, but there was so much good that's been lost nowadays.
Yeah. We don't really want to go back to what it used to be when it was abusive. But when it started becoming science-based, in my mind, I just don't think that you can science-base something that's nature.
And the science base is only looking at one quadrant, not all four. So that right there. And in all truth, I don't think any of us are behavior modification trainers. Each one of us is more a relationship-based trainer. Our dogs do stuff for us because they want to please us, not because something's in it for them, a correction or a reward. They do it because they want to make us happy. And they don't want to make us unhappy. It's that simple, which is more like our relationships that we have in our own human lives.
Yeah. Want to make me happy? Fill my glass of wine. I guess that's a reward.
That's a reward, Jill.
That's a reward. Sorry.
No more wine for Jill.
But many times I go back to a bitch and her puppies. The people that are saying corrections are bad, when you look at a mother that corrects one of the puppies for bad behavior, she puts the correction on, it's done, it's over with. She doesn't spend time feeling bad that she's done it. She doesn't apologize for it. She doesn't give a cookie. She's like, stop doing that. And the puppy might mope for a couple of seconds and then they're like, all right, back to life. There's nothing wrong about a well-timed correction when you're behaving poorly.
It's just good old-fashioned parenting.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that's missing for a lot of trainers, I've been very fortunate. So I trained with Sylvia Bishop for years. Then I got to go see Sylvia Bishop in England living with her dogs. And watching her living with her dogs made so much make sense in my head. And then since then, I've been training with Peter and Connie Sherk a lot. And I've gotten to stay with Peter and Connie over the last, I think, 8, 9 times now. And through staying in their house and watching them live with their dogs, you learn so much more. It just makes sense. And maybe that's a piece that everyone's living with, is about what the picture really should look like. So yes, we want these top performance dogs, but what do they look like on their day-to-day life? What do they look like in the house? And I think that might be maybe a piece that's missing for people.
I think
Maybe
so, yeah.
for the competition people, yes. I don't know. The people that are just looking for pet dog training, I honestly think a lot of them probably made the wrong choice in getting a dog.
I don't think they have made the wrong choice in getting a dog.
Yeah, I don't think they know what it looks like, Jill.
No,
I don't think they just don't know that they can do things with their dog.
okay, yeah, fair enough.
They
That
don't know
they
how
get
to
a
live
dog
with a
and
dog. They do
thinking that
make.
they
Sorry, Jill. Go ahead.
yeah, from what we're seeing in the videos and what's being taught now, it looks like people are wanting a dog that does nothing but lays around while you do your day-to-day stuff. And then when you want to interact, they interact. But it's never anything that you have to go out of your way for. To me, it's you would have been just as happy with a statue with the way that training is being portrayed now.
Again, it goes back to we need to show people what they can have. They can have a dog that lies down when they sit down, that gets up when they get up, that's easy around the house and sensible around the house, will come back whenever they call it.
And can, if you want, step into the obedience ring and have a blast and do beautiful work or whatever sport you choose. They can do that as well. It's just, again, it's balance.
And I think they need to see that dogs have senses of humors. Little Mo out here last night was freaking hilarious. The games she was playing with us, they can be silly, they can have fun, but they can still be pleasant to live with. If she was like that all the time, it would no longer be funny.
Yeah, I think the problem that most people face is that they get into conflict with their dogs. Like it can be so simple. Okay, this is an example. When you're eating your dinner, put the dog in a crate when they're young, right? If you don't want them bothering you. But people will put them in a place. I send him to his
Yes.
mat. Then, okay, what happens then? He gets off his mat. And then what do? I put him back on his mat. So they get into this argument with the dog.
Yes.
And it's all about, and so their relationship is based in conflict.
Yes.
And relationships based in conflict are toxic. They're not healthy relationships.
Yes, yes.
Right? Healthy
Amen to
relationships
that.
have no conflict. So if my dogs are in the way, you go in your crate. If I have company over, you go in your crate. They're not here to visit you,
Yes.
they're here to visit me. If I have a puppy and I have to go have a bath or I just want you out of my hair, you go in your crate.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if dogs are brought up that way, they just learn to lay around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just that simple.
If you think
It's
of it,
so simple, really. Raising
very,
dogs
very
is so simple.
You can sit through dinner and 33 times get up and tell your dog he's wrong and put him back onto a place and create this conflict where you're nagging at him over and over. Or you can put him in a crate or a bedroom or whatever you choose. And both of you can enjoy that time without the conflict.
Yeah.
Sounds so simple when it's put that way. And it's okay to put your dog away. You don't always have to want to be with them. Put them away. Let them go sleep.
They
They're
probably
much
don't.
more enjoyable.
They probably don't always want to be with you either, right?
It's like a
Right.
marriage. No offense, husband.
There's a reason I'm single.
We all need time alone. We do. It's healthy. It's normal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
time, because then the time together is so much more valuable.
Yes.
It's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Yes. And the time away shouldn't be controlled. Give them their freedom. I'm saying put them in a crate, but they can move around, they could chew on something, they could do whatever the hell they want in there. Have at her.
They're not having to do an active downstay for an hour while you have dinner.
Yes.
Because you put
Exactly.
them on a place.
How could anyone enjoy that? How could you enjoy your dinner
I can't sit still for an hour.
if you're constantly watching your dog to make sure he's on his place?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
You can't.
Place to
You
me
can
should
enjoy
be
your
like
dinner by
it should be a 2 or 3 minute place. If somebody's delivering something at my door, I would love to be able to say to my dogs, go to your place, and I sign for my package and they leave. That doesn't happen. Mine go in the bedroom. But I would use it for something like that.
I'm going to use Harry as an example here. Oh, shut up, Jill. Letting my dogs out for their walk. Everyone's amped and ready to go. And I don't do this every day, but I do it just to make sure that I can. I'll let Harry out. He's tootling around the van. I'll let the next dog out. Then I just tell Harry, sit wherever he is. He's expected to sit. And then I'll open up the other crates. And at this moment in time, he's vibrating, wanting to break. And he can't. He must hold his sit. And he does. So just say, okay, and off we go. The walk starts. I want control like that. I want to have control in drive when I need it, but I'm not asking for it for half an hour. It's fast, it's now, it's an absolute. Off we go. Let's go have fun now.
Yeah.
Same could be at the front door with someone coming in. Just sit. I can deal with whatever I need to deal with. Don't move. Close the door. Okay, off you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for rather than an hour-long place.
Yeah.
That seems to be at least in our small group, that seems to be a common denominator, is the place and how it's, in my mind, it's just being abused.
Yeah, I agree. So I think we are similar on a lot of things. Sit means sit, down means down.
Come means come.
Don't pull me on leash.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Respect my
And
personal
through
space.
and through those things, you get a dog that's a nice person to live with.
Yeah.
I'm not teaching loose leash because it is important because I'm getting older. I don't want my shoulder yarded on. But I'm teaching loose leash because it makes them a nicer person. And through that is teaching them self-control, to be mindful of my space, to be mindful of where I am so that they're not banging into me, dragging me over here or there. Loose leash teaches them so many pieces. So it's an important exercise to teach dogs. And I think purely positive, where they're getting rewarded to be in position, it actually missed all of the lessons that they needed to learn from loose leash.
Mm-hmm.
Loose leash to me is like the center of your onion, as we were saying before.
Mm-hmm.
That is such a basic requirement that makes a huge impact on so many different parts of your relationship.
Loose leash is who moves whose feet when. And just through my movement, I can control your feet, which is straight from horses.
Yeah.
And that changes a relationship.
Yeah. And you know what people don't understand, and it is quite shocking to them when you point this out, the amount of pressure that a dog puts on our bodies when they're pulling is one thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's a lot of pressure. But think about a young dog under the age of 2 whose hips and elbows aren't fully formed yet, pulling
And spine.
yarding and spine, pulling and
Yeah.
yarding on that leash. The damage they're doing to their body as well.
Yep.
Is just...
I'm going to get flamed for this, but putting a harness on a dog is not helping that. Like, so many people now are putting harnesses on because their dog pulls. They're still pulling at, like you said, at less than 2 years of age, when they're putting so much stress on their body. Like, I have a physiotherapist, a dog physiotherapist, that will say outright a prong collar is so much better on a dog's body than a harness. It's going to stop them from pulling.
There's a lot of dog chiropractors, dog physios who will all say that because they're seeing the skeletal structure of the dog and the changes that are happening.
And if it doesn't work on the dog, it's because they don't feel anything. Is it uncomfortable? Yes, that's what it's designed to be. But if they pull and it's uncomfortable, they stop pulling. It's something they can totally control, which is what I don't understand why people are so opposed to it. If you want to be completely non-aversive with your harness, collar, head halter, whatever, you just can't attach a leash to it. And okay, now the dog's just doing whatever it wants, but there's no aversive, but there's no control either.
So with this, my belief is pulling on a leash is just forbidden. Don't do it. Fix it. Get it done. It shouldn't be a big, long lesson. Like, just get it done. From there, move on to the fun stuff. Move on to the harmony. Move on to improving your relationship. But don't spend months focusing on loose leash. You're just going to wreck a whole bunch of things. Your dog's going to develop behaviors he shouldn't be doing. Move on. Leave it alone. Like, just fix it and move on to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's my
Be
belief.
done with it.
It's just like any other relationship, really. Set the boundaries at the beginning, then move on to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Said.
And don't waver.
Says,
Don't one day let the dog get away with something and the next day lose your mind over it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But once the boundaries are in place, then you can have all the fun you want.
Yep.
and certain of these rules too, recall. It makes you, all of them actually, once you have a dog that can do all of this stuff, their life gets so much bigger because you can take them anywhere. They can just be included in your life. So many more opportunities open up for them if they're enjoyable to be around. And I think that piece has gotten lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would hate to go to a beach and not be able to go in the water. But there are dogs that absolutely can't come off leash because they've not been taught those boundaries. They get to look at all the fun stuff, but they don't get to really enjoy it.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, ladies? We've talked for an hour.
Wow.
Keltie,
I don't think so.
thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
I haven't talked to you in forever, Keltie. I was glad to
I
be
know.
able to talk.
I know. I haven't. It's been a number of years since I've seen you.
It has been, yes.
When are you getting a puppy, Keltie?
I don't know. It's going to have to be a very special puppy because I've had such special dogs that it's going to have to be. He's going to have to be really something else.
He will be.
So I'm just waiting and waiting till
Talk
the
to me.
right one comes along.
Nice. Very nice. Thank you, Keltie. I will let you go.
All right. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me. Nice
It's
chatting
been
with you
fun.
both.
Do it again.
You bet. Bye, guys.
See you next Tuesday.